G'day everyone, welcome back to my channel. I apologise it's taken me so long to make another video. I was hoping to get onto this a little bit quicker, but yeah, I mean we've had a kid, so it's a little bit tricky at times. Hoping to rectify this in the new year. She's getting a little bit better now, so yeah, happy days. So what I wanted to do when I first came back, made a video, I wanted to do The Witcher again. I know everyone's been watching the series, fucking awesome series. But yeah, I know I had a bit of problem the first time around with this game playing Gwent, so I thought maybe someone else is having some dramas. Thought I'd give a few tips, and yeah, so here we go. This is Crow's Perch, is one of the first places you go, so you want to go into the shop here at the first merchant you come across, and he'll be selling some cards. Obviously I've bought them at the moment, but this is what it should look like. He'll have, this is a different merchant, but he'll have some cards up here. They're usually in the first few slots. So just buy them. Whenever you come across them, buy them all, because you're going to need them. So we'll get back out of there and we'll go into the main menu here. You can set the bet amount each time you play someone. So you can go up and down depending on how much you want to win or lose, depending on how hard the guy is. Crow's Perch, pretty easy. Can't really go wrong. On the left side is where all your cards will be, whether you have them in your deck or not. All your starting cards will be here, so this is where you want to start building your deck. I've put all the shit ones in the left. They won't come through to the game, so no matter what you draw, anything in the left you won't use them. All ones in the right are currently in my hand. When I play a game, this is where basically all your cards in the game are going to come from. So let's go through and I guess start a game. They all have their own little abilities, damages, with their hero cards, blah blah blah. We'll go through that a little bit later. So here we go. This is a decoy card. What you want to do with this is swap it with any unit on the battlefield and return it to your hand. This commander horn, it will effectively double any unit that's not a hero. In strength, a scorch card will kill any of the strongest units on the field. Biting frost will reduce all of the melee damages down to 1. This one here will reduce all of the range down to 1. This will clear all weather effects. There is a torrential rain which will do the same for the siege units down to 1. And then obviously, so you've got your hero cards which are by the golden suns here. You can't change it with a decoy, you can't double the damage with anything that doubles damage, commander horn or dandelion for example. Yennefer's special ability, she can bring anything back from the graveyard. This one does a scorch effect as well as being a melee damage. It's quite handy, but only if the combined unit strength is 10 or more. So obviously that means if your unit strength of your opponent is less than 10, all you're going to do is add something that has 7 damage. Obviously these ones don't have any abilities, so they're throwaway cards effectively. Or swap out cards. So when you start a game you get to swap 2 cards of your choice. If you don't like what you have a chance to redraw 2 more cards. So Dandelion's effect is a commander horn for melee only. This one's good, a spy card. This is one of the best cards in the game in my opinion. Every time you play it, it will add the damage to your opponent's count and let you draw 2 cards out of your deck. So while you're like, well, why do I want to add damage to my opponent's count? It's nice having the extra 2 cards. The cow, so this one, once it leaves the battlefield, it will summon a stronger unit. Whether you end the game, or end the round I should say, or whether it gets killed. This one has a tight bond ability which allows any other card with the same name to effectively double the strength when they're both played. So if you put one catapult up and then you put another one up and they both have the tight bond because they're both the same card, instead of doing 8 damage, each will do 16 damage. And then if you put a commander's horn on top of that, it will do 32 damage each. So 2 cards can give you 64 damage, which is fucking crazy. Those are the ones you want to play, so they're definitely something you want to have in your hand. These are your hero cards. I mean, some of the abilities are pretty crap, to be honest with you. Your starting abilities aren't that great, and each faction has a different hero, obviously, so the hero abilities are slightly different and varying, but they're not too bad. I mean, you'll probably find one, like it, and stick to it. That's what I do. So I stick to Siege with Northern Realms is pretty much my go-to. Each faction has their own unique cards, as you can see here. They'll have the Scoia'tael, obviously are elves, so they'll have elvish names, and they go through and do the same sort of stuff. I mean, agile cards, obviously they can be placed in either melee or in the ranged row. The next one you'll see here is Muster, so everything with that name. So Havaka Smuggler. Playing one of those cards will draw all of those cards from your deck and put them all in one hit. So these ones here, if you have one of them, it'll put all three of them up. So you have 9 damage in one hit, which is pretty good. Unfortunately, they all do pretty shitty damage, so I don't know. I don't mind fighting against the Scoia'tael because they only really use ranged or melee. So if you have an impenetrable fog or a biting frost card, you pretty much fucked them. Okay, so Nilfgaard. Nilfgaard are a pretty tricky opponent, can be, in the end game. They have a lot of abilities that revive things out of, or revive units out of their graveyard, and they also have a lot of spies. So effectively, I think they can draw about 16 or 18 cards or something if they have all their spy units up, which is fucking crazy. You'll never win against that. And if they have played a lot, and then you've played some into their hand as well, and they're dead, you'll see that they have a few, like this one here, Medic, which raises your cards from your graveyard. So spy, there's a lot of spies here. There's about 6 or something. Oh yeah. I don't personally play Nilfgaard. I'm not really a big fan of them. I prefer the siege weapons because you can get some crazy damage out of it, which is a bit of a pain if they get the torrential rain card up. But I usually have a clear weather card to try and combat that if it does happen. Usually pretty right. Nilfgaard's the only real one that I have the only real one that I have trouble with. Monsters pretty easy. Most of them are melee, so what you want there is a biting frost card, and you're pretty much right. This one here also has a lot of muster cards with the Neckers and a few other ones like Vampire Bruxa and some other vampires as well. And the Crones. The Crones are a good one because they do 6 damage each. So Morale Boost is an ability that, as you can see there, adds +1 to all units in that row, excluding that one itself. So everything, like say you have one there that does 6, and placing that card beside it will make it do 7, and anything else in that row obviously. We'll just go along a couple of unique monster cards here. I mean, the graphics in these cards is fucking amazing. I really like it. I'm hoping actually they bring a little bit of this to the series, but I don't know. I don't know how you can make this interesting in a series, watching someone play fucking cards, but anyway. So these cards, as you can see, are pretty cool. There's a lot of muster cards. There's very, very few siege, and even less fucking ranged cards, so it is predominantly a melee faction, which is a massive, either a massive bonus or a massive fucking loss, I guess, or a handicap I should say. So here we go. So when you come up, this is your redraw sort of period. What you're best doing is having a look through the cards that you get. Yeah, okay, well, what do I want? What can I get rid of that I don't need? So I swap that one out for a spy card. So usually what I want to do is have my first round as a sacrificial round. So I'll play all my spy cards, I'll play my cow if I have the cow, and then I'll let them win. So what this effectively does is you get to beef your hand up a bit while draining them of theirs. As you can see in this one, for example, though, they have some spy cards as well. So everything I just said, if they pass early on like a 7 or anything under 10 really, I mean, what you're better off doing is just taking the hit, I guess, and playing a card just to beat them, and then you win that round. Generally that's what I'll always do. And then this one here, I'll probably just pass. So they have to, because they're Northern Realms, obviously their faction ability is to draw a new card every round, so once they win, but they're going to have to play a card to... Yeah, okay, so there you go. So that's what you want to do, is play your medic, bring a spy out of your graveyard, and draw extra cards. It's a good ability to have. It's a good little setup. As you can see, I don't have any medics in my hand at the moment, but that's fine. These games are generally pretty quick. Once you get the hang of it, they'll be... I mean, you can smash through them pretty quickly. Some of them will take a long time, and some of them you will find are so fucking hard they drive you insane. My highest recommendation I'd say would be to go through the game before you do the quests for the Gwent cards. Do a few of the quests, because some of them are pretty easy, but most of them... So the one where you go to the Passiflora, I would leave that until you've got most of your hero cards up. You've finished most of the other side quests for Gwent cards. So playing your friends and playing old foes, whatever the quests are, I can't actually remember what they're called anymore. You definitely want to finish those off before you try and do the Passiflora quest. So this one here, Scorch, as you can see, he had 6 damage, which is the highest damage on the battlefield, excluding your hero cards. So that's why that took that off. So again, your hero cards can't be affected by Scorch or Commander's Horn or Rain or any of those sort of other abilities that affect your damage. So as you see there, the melee, my hero card didn't double in strength, and again here, nor will it go down. So that's a pretty good example of that. Another good example here is, so I'll play this guy here again, and you'll see that both of their damage is double. So instead of doing 2 and 2, they do 4 and 4. Obviously it's a little bit more than that if you don't have the impenetrable fog ability there, but that's fine. You can still see what happens. This one's alright actually. He's played all of the weather effects, so you can see what each one does. I mean, they're pretty cool. And obviously you get victory at the end. So every victory you have, you'll obviously win your money back, and you'll get a little bonus. If it's the first time playing them, or you haven't maxed out your... So there's a certain number of cards you can win from vendors. All the other ones have to be done through quests or finding them in chests, generally through quests. So yeah, the first time you play a vendor, that's when you'll unlock the card. It's pretty basic. Nearly every innkeeper, actually if not all the innkeepers, will have a set amount of cards you can buy off them. So when you go around, make sure you go to every inn in every town. And so here's the quest I was talking about before, but obviously it's done. That's what you want to do. Old pals, that's what you want. Yeah, so every inn, just go in there, grab the cards, beef your deck up a bit. So this game's only hard if you want it to be, really. Just... Oh, yes, this other thing they never had, I don't believe, in the first few versions of the game, is this fucking glorious little book here, which, when you click on it, tells you how many cards you're missing and where they're from. So as you can see here, I've got all the cards from all the vendors, and I'm missing one card in Novigrad. Turns out that's a quest that I haven't unlocked yet. So you need to... This one was Thaler. I'm missing the Geralt card. So Thaler, you need to rescue him from some trolls, yeah, right, in a cave, and you'll unlock the Gwent quest for him, who gives you the Geralt card. Other than that, I mean, this game's pretty easy. It's not really too difficult, so I'll jump into another one here and see how we go. So as you can see, every time you play a new card, or a new game I should say, your cards are different. So what you want to do, see, you can see up in the top left there what your opponent's playing. It says up there Northern Realms. So what you want to focus on there, for example, if it was a monsters deck that they had, you're going to want that Biting Frost card. It will help you out in crazy ways, because they would put like 60 odd damage worth of melee damage in one game on the board there, and you can just hit your Biting Frost and it'll drop it right down to 9 or 10 or something like that. Other than that, I mean, the best way to learn this game, I think, is through trial and error. What works for you, what doesn't. I mean, what works for me might not work for everyone, or you might have a better way of doing it. You probably do. I don't think I'm really that good at this game, but I don't know. It's not really too difficult. I've played both the standalone game and I've just got the mobile version of it, and they are both excellent, despite lacking the siege row, which I'm not too keen about. But anyway, that's a different story altogether. So as you can see there, I forfeited the first round just to have that win. I mean, he's playing Northern Realms again, so it's kind of hard to build your cards up when they're doing the same thing as well. You sort of stay on par with each other. But so I just dropped his damage down from 4 to 1. I mean, it's not really, that's probably not the best card to play there. I'm trying to sort of milk all the cards out of him without doing too much. Without wasting too many of my good units, I guess you could say. So as you can see there, I've still got a spy card in my hand. Just sort of going through it here. He's got 4 cards left. I've got a fair chunk of damage left in my hand there, so you should be fairly safe to play a spy card without him. I'm sure he's already used his decoys and all that sort of stuff. So decoy is the one that's in my graveyard at the moment. You can see my discard pile there on the right. Best thing about those, I'm sure you've already come across them, is to, if you're going to forfeit a round and you've got one in your hand, you don't want to waste that unit, use a decoy. It'll put that card back in your hand and swap it with the decoy instead. Now the good thing about those is, if you have a spy card that they've placed on your side of the board, you can hit that with the decoy. It'll put the spy card in your hand, and then you can replay it and gain yourself 2 extra cards. So I've had a bit of a win there. I've played the spy card and it's given me 2 extra spy cards that I've got, which is quite rare. I guess it's uncommon, at least, if nothing else. Now obviously he's going to play the Torrential Rain. So my leader is ability. You also have that. So on the left behind my avatar, sorry, I should say below my avatar, your leader cards there. If you highlight over that, and there's a certain button you can push, it's R2 for PlayStation, it'll come up with what ability your leader has. Mine effectively doubles all the strength of my siege units on the battlefield. So I'll give you a Commander's Horn without actually needing a Commander's Horn card. Some leader abilities do, you can pull a specific weather card out of your hand and play it instantly, or clear weather. Some of them do Commander's Horns for melee or ranged. Some of them will actually act like a Scorch card on specific rows, so it'll destroy the most strongest unit in that row so long as everything's over 10. That's what I was saying sort of before. Everyone's a little bit different. Ultimately they're the same, it's just little tweaks here and there. So your Scorch card, I'll show you now. I mean, I've got a ton of damage up there, so it's going to kill me. Those two did 10. Different rows, it doesn't matter what rows they're on. It'll just kill everything with that strongest number. So if you have 5 cards that are 10, and they have 5 cards that are 9, and you play that Scorch card, it's going to kill all of your units, and all of theirs will stay there, and you'll lose the match. Other than that, I don't think there's really too much more. So we'll go through another game after I just go through his inventory and have a little sticky beak. I'm always fairly nosy and see if they've got anything new, but generally not. We'll go over here, see what she's got. Sneaky human Master Smith. So we'll go and have a little sticky beak again. But, I mean, generally they don't have that much that you really want. Unless you're specifically trying to build one thing, but that's when you go into your crafting menu, and if you've got it you can buy it off them, blah 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 blah. I'm sure you know how the crafting works. So we'll have another game here. I might make this the last one because you're probably bored of this video already. So yeah, I've got 2 spy cards, which should be more than enough to win this. So she plays monsters, as you can see up there in the top left, beside her avatar. She's an avatar of a man, strangely enough. So yes, every faction has that spy card of the elf. It's a neutral card, so it means everyone can use it. So specific cards, yeah, are neutral cards like Ciri and Geralt. There's a few other ones, which means basically any faction can have them in their hand. It's nothing too crazy there. So. Monster ability lets you keep 1 random card on the board from your previous match. Can be good, can be bad. Maybe you'll save something that does, I don't know, 10 damage, or maybe you'll save something that does 2 damage. There's a perfect example of what you would want the Scorch card for. Or this would have been better. That's 18 damage in 1 card, which is quite substantial. And then bang. So because they had more than 10, it killed the fucking lot of them, which is, this is pretty well played hand actually. It's the way that I've lucked out on getting these cards. It's the way to do it. Although in saying that, I mean, I've used all my good cards up. I'm a good damaging the enemy cards, I should say. But considering they've only got 4 left and I've got, what, 10? Pretty safe. You'll notice that once you start getting into this game a bit, a lot of people have the dragon. I'm not even going to try and say its name. Benentredamoth, I guess you could call it. So I would probably be a little bit more on the side of caution when playing melee cards, unless they're hero cards. Obviously a dragon doesn't damage your hero cards, so. In saying that, your hero cards will add to your total damage in that row. So if you play a hero card and you play something else that's 2 damage, and they play the dragon, it will kill the card that has 2 damage. While that's not really a big issue, you still lose a card, you still lose 2 damage. Chance of you winning or losing a game by 2 damage is fairly fucking rare, but you never know. Other than that, I mean, she's pretty fucked here. I've got 52, she's got 28. So. As you can see on the left, this one does 41, and my range does 11. So, of course, you want to put the Commander's Horn in the row that does the most damage. Unless that row primarily consists of hero cards, then don't do that. It's just a waste. But as you can see, once you get further in the game, it's not really hard to lose a game. So anyway, that's 3 games. Hopefully this has helped anyone anyway that had any questions towards Gwent. If you do have any other questions, feel free to comment below and I will answer them as best I can, I guess you could say. So yeah, just want to say thanks for watching, and I'm sorry it's been so long since I've done a video, but I'm hoping to rectify that and make a few more this year, on the proviso I don't get this fucking coronavirus that's going around. But yeah, stay safe everyone. Hopefully yeah, see you through to the end of the year. Alright, cheers for watching, have a good one, see ya.